Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
You're welcome back to Tip Today with me, Stephen Gleeson, here filling in for Fran this morning, and I hope you're having a good morning wherever you're tuned in from around the world, and busy few days here, no doubt, with St. Patrick's Day, and Mother's Day was on yesterday as well, and I'm delighted to be joined in studio now to chat about mothers and just a sense of, you know, what it all entails with Susan O'Donoghue. Susan, you're very welcome.
Thanks very much, Stephen. First time meeting you, Stephen. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I suppose what I wanted to talk about today was, I know it's been a brilliant weekend, I think, because I know sport is your thing. And I mean, 2 Triple Crowns, I'm just not able.
Yeah.
And the tension around, you know, whether France would win or England would win, it was an amazing weekend. Plus Tip won. Then we had Mother's Day, St. Patrick's Day, and Jessie Buckley and Richard Boehner, I think. Is it the Avatar? Yeah, special.
Right.
Amazing, yeah. Could we have any more? We're bursting with it. So it's a great weekend. And I suppose mothers too, for me, because I am a mother of 3, it can be a really difficult time in a woman's life. There's profound psychological transformations, really. And I suppose this would be involving like major shifts in your identity as a woman, intense emotional highs and lows, significant stressors like exhaustion. Anybody who's been a mother knows that one, or a father, but because it was Mother's Day, we'll stick to mothers. I suppose it's huge. And then you have things like, you know, postpartum and, you know, depression and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it, and trying to balance your role then, balancing nurturing instincts with the mental overload and navigating guilt. Yeah, because anybody who's a mum knows about guilt, because I think there's a thing there for all mothers. The thing about perfectionism, being the perfect mother. And like Donald Winnicott would have said, we're good enough mother, and that's all you need to be. And that's, you know, I think sometimes that perfectionism comes from our story. It comes from how we were brought up. There's a huge impact around what society thinks and what cultures think around what a mother should be. And when you hear those shoulds, could, must, have to and ought to, that's kind of the unconscious stuff, and that's really fear-filled then. If I'm trying to be something for somebody else, it's full of fear, because now I'm trying to be something that probably isn't me. Yeah, so a good enough mother, that's what we need to be. So to all the amazing mothers out there, fair play to you, well done. It's not an easy gig. Parenting is the hardest job in the world. I'd say it a million times a day. It's the hardest job I've ever done. So for me, it's all about taking care of yourself, and it's all about, you know, I suppose looking at my mental health and how is it in this, and do I need to ask for help, and can I ask for help? Because for a lot of us growing up, we were told if you ask for help, it's a sign of failure.
And I suppose the pressure is there because everyone expects, you know, the mother in the family to solve a lot of the problems, really, a lot of the time. And, you know, that adds to pressure, I suppose. And it takes pressure off others, maybe, which, you know, isn't necessarily good. That everyone should share that.
And my whole thing is, you know, when people think of mothers, right? You know, even that song, and you know that song, what is it? A Mother's Love's a Blessing. That one, that I remember hearing that years ago, and I wouldn't have had a great relationship with my mother, and she wouldn't have been, I suppose, the stereotypical mother in that sense, because she would have had a lot of issues with her mental health. And I suppose that's why I'm in this kind of, you know, job now and doing this for my own, because I think we all end up in the jobs we need to be in for our own purposes. So for me, a mother wasn't something I ever wanted to be. So I know that sounds a bit strange, but to me, my experience of a mother wasn't great. So I always had the fear of being a mother. So I didn't really want to have children until I was like 32. And then I got this overwhelming sense of, I need one, you know. My biological clock, I suppose, was ticking. But for me, it's been the greatest joy in my life, and also the hardest job I've ever done. Even though it's amazing and they're fabulous and I wouldn't change a minute of it, it's still hard work. you know. And even when you think about when they're small and the sleepless nights, and you think, oh, once I get over this it'll be easier. No, because then they go on and become teenagers, and then you don't know where they are some nights, and then you're wondering, you're awake till they come home. So there are different levels and different types of worries, for want of a better word. But look, I just think, you know, it's about taking care of yourself in that, because you are kind of in the middle of the rock holding it together for a lot of families. And I think if you can't pour from an empty jug, so it's always about taking care of yourself first. And that, I think, gets lost in the whole thing, you know.
And we've seen there, we've text messages in from people, you know, that are, you know, upset with the price of fuel, and, you know, life is on a fine balancing act. And then another texter there who said that they're looking at immigration because they can't get the job that they want to work in here. And like, the family, I suppose, feels that as well.
Of course they do, because if there's one in the house that's feeling like, remember now that children grow inside their mum, right? Well, unless they're adopted or, you know, fostered or whatever. But mostly, like, the child grows inside you for 9 months. They know you inside and out, literally. They know your heartbeat. Like, I always say, you know, I said it before here, like, that one day I came home and my youngest lad said to me, you know, he said, why are you cross? I said, I'm not cross. And he said, you are cross. And the two of us nearly having an argument over I wasn't cross. And it was because I got my eyebrows done. You know, so he noticed something was different, but he couldn't put his finger on it. So they watch every single thing. And he wasn't a baby at that stage. Like, he was a teenager. So it just goes to show we're looking for signs the whole time. And I know that they say, like, communication, only 4 or 7% of it is verbal. So the rest of it is body cues, it's your tone of voice, it's everything else. So we look at others to find out what's happening and is it safe. And I think for most of us, and I'm back to that again, I know I talk about it the whole time, but it is the essence of everything. It's how safe was it for me growing up, and was it safe for me to express how I felt in the house I was in, right? And a lot of times, you know, as parents, we're doing the absolute best job we can. There's not a doubt in my mind. But if we don't have reflection on our own stuff, and if we don't look at our own behaviours and see how they're impacting us and others around us, right, we'll just pass on all the baggage to them. And that's the lovely thing, because it is possible, and it's so, I won't say easy to do, but it is doable and very doable. If we can find a safe space to look at what happened to us as children and what we took on. Yeah, because, like, you think even culturally, if you grew up in a culture where, you know, I suppose when you look at Japan and you look at us, they're two total different cultures. The way they operate as mothers is similar, but it's also very different, yeah, because their culture would be different. And even if you go anywhere in the world, the cultures are going to be different, and the expectations around what a mother is or what our behaviours need to be. So, like, is it okay for me to speak out and say what my needs are? You know, can I say no? You know, was that a thing that I wasn't allowed to do as a child? You know, was it safe for me to say no as a child? And if it wasn't, chances are I won't say it now. But I'll pass that on to my kids then, that it's not okay to say no. Does that make sense? Yep. Because what we saw growing up is our experience as adults. And if we don't have a look at it and don't see how it is, we'll continue the pattern and we'll pass it on to our children until someone breaks it. So that's what that lovely reflection piece is about. And I started off the new year talking about reflection on ourselves, and that's what it's about. It's about looking at it and saying, why do I find it so hard to say no when I'm asked to do something? Because I really don't want to do it, but I feel like I'll be the bad person, or nobody will like me if I say no. Do you know? Yeah, and that's what we pass on to our kids then, that it's not all right to say no. So by taking care of ourselves and filling our own cup, the example we give our children is priceless. You can't buy that stuff, yeah?
And when you look at, you know, the Mother's Day and the big celebration that it is, I suppose Jessie Buckley winning yesterday, fantastic to win an Oscar. But it probably, like, it creates pressure, I suppose, on people. So can you share some strategies for mothers to stay positive and resilient during these stressful times?
I can. What I would be saying to people is, look, we can see our cup is half full or half empty, right? If we just say, look, my cup is half empty, I can't cope, no good. And I heard that gentleman now earlier calling in, and he reached out to ask for support and information around, you know, what do I do in this situation if I'm feeling, you know, that I have no hope here, or, you know, it's not great or whatever. But he is reaching out, so he's looking for answers, and that's what we need to do. If you're a parent and you're struggling, if you're a mother and you're finding it really hard, can you reach out and ask for help? Can you say, look, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed here, I need a couple of hours off? Because it is overwhelming. There's no, like, I've done it 3 times, it's hugely overwhelming. Yeah. So is it okay to ask for help? Because for me it wasn't, and nobody could take care of my baby like I could take care of my baby. So to hand my baby over to somebody else was a huge thing for me. Now, that was the first one. The second one, it got easier, and by the time I got to the third one, yeah, I could hand them over because I had 2 more as well. So you kind of get better at it as you go. But I also think that they're all totally different. They're all going to throw up different scenarios to you, right? You'd think you have it, I got it now with the first one, I'm sorted, and the second one will come along and they'll have a total different set of rules, right? And it'll be total thrown up in the air, and you'll try to catch all the balls. And it's the same with the third one. 3 total different, independent, unique people, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Yeah, but in all that, you've got to hold on to yourself.
And I suppose keeping that positive frame of mind, or a good strong basis, is very important to deal with all things that might be setbacks along the way.
Of course it is, and it's surround yourself with people who fill you up. Yeah. For a lot of mothers, when they start off, you'll be told, oh, you shouldn't be doing it that way, and this is the way you should do it, you're doing it wrong, or you get everybody will have advice. Advice to me is the worst thing you could ever give anybody, because it squeezes the life out of them. It's like a vice, right? It just squeezes the life out of you. It leaves you drained. It leaves you thinking that you're no good and you can't cope and you're doing it wrong. What you need is people around you who encourage you and say, listen, what do you think? This is, and if somebody's really distressed and they say to you, oh, please just tell me what you do, you can say, this is how I do it, but that might not sit right for you. You'll find your own way, and if I can support you in any way, I will. That's lovely, isn't it, to hear that you don't have to follow what they say, but if it sits right for you, you can, and you can try it, right? And it may not work for you, but that's okay too, because it's about being able to fail without feeling terrible about it, because failure, I know for me growing up, was a terrible thing. If you failed, you were like, you weren't, what good are you? You couldn't cope. But failure is part of success, and we need to make mistakes to get there. Yeah. So I think it's about that. It's about holding on to yourself, and remember, you are only responsible for yourself. Yeah. I know you have this little being, and you're responsible for them too until they're 18 to a certain degree, but you're not responsible for making everybody else, all the other adults in your life, happy. Yeah, you're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for taking care of yourself. And I guarantee you, when you start doing that, you'll see that you'll pass that on to your children, number one, but you'll also see that other adults, everybody wants a bit of that. Everybody wants to be taking responsibility for themselves and not for everybody else. Yeah, because when we take responsibility for everybody else's needs, we become carers, but we also disable the other person. Yeah, so I think it's about filling your own cup first, being what you want to see from your children, which is these independent, strong beings who can go out into the world, right, and take care of themselves. Do that for yourself first. Show them, don't tell them. Yeah.
And I suppose for those listening who may be suffering from bereavement, that may not have their mother around anymore, they probably have to get resilience and strength in other areas.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. It's about surrounding yourself with people who bring you joy, who make you happy, who fill your cup. You'll always find the ones who drain it, won't you? There's a good few of them around. So it's about, how now do I support myself in filling my cup? And it's like that gentleman calling out looking for support around, does anyone have information on visas? Where's the best place to go for certain jobs or whatever? It's about that. It's about looking for information, looking for support. And I know that for some women, when their kids are small, it's lovely to go to these parent-toddler groups and all that. There can be great support in them, you know what I mean? And it's about finding what sits right for you, yeah? And it can be a very lonely time being a mother, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I suppose, Susan, just to wrap up here, it's about finding that positivity and filling yourself with confidence that you feel you can deal with the day.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you, if you have the right people around you, you need accompaniment. You don't need stress from other people telling you what to do or what you're doing wrong. You need people who are going to accompany you and support you, right, and listen to you and not give you loads of advice that's going to squeeze the life out of you. That's what you need. You need self-care and self-compassion. Yeah, and that lovely curiosity into, am I okay here? What's my need? Yeah, because for a lot of us, we never ask that question for ourselves. What's my need? Yeah, it's a simple one, but we never get to ask it.
And like a great weekend with Mother's Day, St. Patrick's Day, it's a time that people should, be good to themselves and just try and enjoy the day.
Yeah. be good to yourself. There's a lovely one. Treat yourself like you're your best friend. Yeah, that's how I'd see it. I'd say have that lovely sense of softness and ease. And if I make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay. And if I need to say no because I can't do it, that's okay. And if I need to ask for a bit of help, yeah, it's okay to ask for a bit of help and support. It doesn't make me a bad mother. It makes me a good mother, because now I'm taking care of myself and I'm showing my child this is how you mind yourself. Yeah.
Oh, great stuff. Susan, many thanks for joining us today in studio.
Thanks very much, Stephen.
And we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be talking all things St. Patrick with John G. O'Dwyer after this.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.